Martin Luther King said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And the life of Secoriea Turner mattered. The tragic loss that this family has suffered, it matters. Us finding the individuals that shot and killed this beautiful young girl matters. And so we come together with the Davis Bozeman law firm, the Cochran firm, to bring all our resources to make sure we do everything in our power to apprehend the individuals who shot and killed Secoriea. That is our main focus. That's our main agenda. And with the assistance of our Atlanta office and over 32 offices across this nation of the Cochran firm, we have used our local and national relationships, and we're going to add, anonymous supporters are going to add $10,000 to the reward that leads to the conviction of individuals who are responsible for the shooting death of Secoriea Turner. It is important, as Martin Luther King said, that we no longer become silent. In our community, we need your help. We're asking for your help. We're going to use our own investigators, our own resources and staff, but we need the community to help and assist us in getting information that will lead to the conviction so that this family can get the right justice that they deserve. The last thing I will say is I am honored to stand with Mally Davis and the Davis Bozeman law firm. We worked on cases together. We're going to join with this powerful law firm, with our firm, to make sure we get full justice for this family. And that means we're going to not only investigate relates to the individuals that shot and killed Secoriea Turner, but we're going to also begin at some point an investigation of any persons or entities that are also legally responsible or could have prevented this from happening. But today is about finding out who actually shot Secoriea Turner. And we want to make sure everybody understands that as a law firm and as people who grew up and live in this community, this is important to us. And I'm just grateful to have the chance to fight for this beautiful family and this beautiful young lady. Thank you.
When we saw the area where Rashard Brooks lost his life, I was very familiar with it because once a week for the last 12 to 13 years, we passed almost that way to visit and meet with and strategize with a group of men to work on improving the conditions in our communities with an organization called Let Us Make Man. And the home that we go to is that of Derek Bozeman, former city councilman and the convener of Let Us Make Man. And Derek and I and many others have sought justice for many families, whether the families were victims of violence within our communities or violence at the hands of law enforcement. Derek has been there, particularly in this community, ensuring that people's lives are valued and protected and that our voices are heard. And so with that, Derek will share a community response that will help support this family and support this effort. Brother Bozeman.
Let me say, first of all, my just deep, heartfelt condolences to this family. It is unimaginable, the pain, the grief. We can't even begin to say we know how you feel because we would be lying. I waited for what is now 9 days to see what would happen. Because I said, I just know without a shadow of a doubt that the persons responsible would have been picked up by now. And then the wheels of justice will have to turn. We watched for several weeks, people marched back and forth saying that they controlled the community. They controlled that area. We saw the police sometime take off while they patrolled. I've been in that community 54 years, all of my life. I saw its decline. I was a part of the city council when we redeveloped it. Never seen anything like it. You don't hear that side of town where people are shot and killed. You just don't hear it. And so we were shocked and just disappointed. Then when we found out that that was an 8-year-old baby that was killed. These parents know Secoriea. We don't know what we lost on the side of the road for foolishness. And so the police have their job, and we as a community have ours. And so no longer can we sit back and wait. You know, the reason we can't wait is because there's a killer or killers still out here. So we announced two things. First of all, the police has, as I understand it, Crime Stoppers has a $20,000 reward. We're adding $10,000 to that. So on the drive over here, call a couple of our friends. We want to first of all thank Michael Langford and the United Youth Adult Conference. They organize the searches for the missing and murdered children. They pledged $2,500. The Brothers of Let Us Make Man is pledging another $2,500 to go with that. I'm personally pledging $2,500 to go on top of the reward money. And the Sankofa United Church of Christ with Reverend Derek Rice is pledging another $2,500 for $10,000 for the arrest and conviction of the person responsible. So if it takes money, then so be it. The bottom line is this baby is going to be buried on Wednesday, and we want the murderer of this child picked up before then. And so if you want money, then that's fine. Then if that's what motivates us, shake the truth loose, then let's do that then. Because there's no price we can put on this baby's life. And so it's easy to do a reward fund, and we will grow that if we need to. So that's $30,000 on the table to turn the people in. And see, you can't march around and say you running it, and then when it goes horribly wrong, you run into hiding. There's no safe refuge for the people who are responsible for this, nor to the cowards who know who are responsible and won't come forward. So the second part of what we're doing tomorrow at 11 a.m., I'm asking everybody who can walk or pass out a flyer. We will have thousands of flyers tomorrow to meet me at the Dunbar Neighborhood Center at 477 Windsor Street in the Mechanicsville community. We are going to take Secoriea door to door in every neighborhood in that area and tell us, help us find the killer of this baby. So tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. And as we said, we who believe in freedom cannot rest until it comes. We may not be able to restore this family's sense of peace, but we can bring the people who are responsible to justice. The police have looked. Now it's our time to start looking. And we would say to those responsible, it is better that you turn yourself in. It's better that you turn yourself in. And that's what we're going to do tomorrow. So we're calling on those who can join us tomorrow, 11 o'clock a.m., 477 Windsor Street in the Mechanicsville neighborhood, which is not very far from the scene, to join us 11 o'clock. We will break down in teams. We will cover Mechanicsville, Peoplestown, Reynoldstown, Joyland, High Point, Carver Homes, South Atlanta, and all of the adjoining neighborhoods in the University Avenue corridor, and go wherever the information lead us. And I think we're also establishing a hotline number for tips so that people can call as well. So in addition to our money, our resources, our time, and our energy, tomorrow, the people start looking for the people who are the persons responsible for the murder. Let's be very clear, call it for what it was, the murder of this 8-year-old baby who had nothing to do with any of this.
Thank you, Brother Bozeman. because we acknowledge, again, the complicated relationship between law enforcement and the Black community, we know that there are witnesses that are out there who might be uncomfortable, particularly in this moment in history where our relationship has been strained even more between law enforcement and Black people. And with that, we believe that it was necessary for lawyers to volunteer and accompany witnesses to talk to the police so that those witnesses did not feel as though they were alone. And so fortunately, we have two of those lawyers and an organization of lawyers who are prepared to step forward. Any witness that has information will also have access to an attorney who they can consult with and then also go in and meet with police as necessary. And so two of those lawyers are here, Calvin Shaw and attorney Robert Kenner. Both of them are here and available, pledging their support for this fight for justice. Don't want to say anything, Jim?
Yeah, we'll just put the way to reach us out there. Like I said,
And we can use this 1-866-969-2044 as a central number.
yeah,
And what we also have, and this is the power of community, what we also have are law students who will man these phones, screen these calls, and then refer them to these pro bono criminal defense attorneys. And I want to be clear, these attorneys are some of the best criminal defense attorneys that exist and live in our state and in this city. And so this isn't just randomly grabbing some attorneys who may practice real estate law or other law, no disrespect. These are lawyers who deal with criminal defense law, and they are volunteering their time because of the significance of this moment in the history of this city. An 8-year-old's life has to matter in this city, and that it's an all hands on deck situation, that her name must continue to be lifted up until and after these people who killed her are held accountable. Her name has to be wed to the history of the city of Atlanta going forward. In this 2020, in this unprecedented moment, Secoriea Turner's name should continue to resonate throughout the history of the city of Atlanta because of the significance of us coming together and addressing all of the issues that started before her and that will continue so that her death will not be in vain. I'm sorry, Calvin.
no, you're fine. No, absolutely. So that number again is 1-866-969-2004. And again, my name is Calvin Shaw. I predominantly practice criminal defense. So from my almost a decade of practice, I've learned that even when people want to come forward and just simply speak the truth, they feel apprehensive. They're afraid of various different entities, whether it's law enforcement or other, corporations or any of that. So they're very scared in coming forward. And so we just want to say that, reach out to us. We have your back. We're going to protect you, whatever it takes, whether it's legal counsel or security, whatever it takes, we have your back. So whoever wants to come forward, please, this is the time to come forward. And
which was by playing it too safe. He cannot play it too safe. He's got to go out there and be very, very strong. Hillary Clinton herself, we ran.
It was a no-brainer for me. I've been doing this for 24 years. I do practice criminal defense. I have represented individuals who have had to go in and speak with police officers on many occasions. And in our community, a lot of times we don't want to go in and speak and talk to the police. I think this is a moment in time where we have to set those thoughts aside and do what is right. Because as everyone has said, we have a beautiful baby whose life has been taken. And I think we need to be serious about that. If you want to go out and say, okay, you're powerful for the people and you want to help the community, now is the time. Now is not the time to run. And so I am lending all my resources. I'm doing this pro bono. If anyone wants to contact that telephone number and want to go and speak with the police officers, by all means, I'm encouraging you to do that, and I will be available.
Thank you. And before we hear from the family, I want to make it very clear that part of the confusion is misinformation. Sometimes that misinformation is intentional so that people feel like they have a pass. Today we have Omar Ivory, who was the driver. And so there was misinformation that Mr. Ivory fired a weapon. We know now through the evidence that the police have gathered that is absolutely not true, that any attempt to try to turn this into a self-defense is just a attempt for people to justify behavior that is unjustifiable. So I just wanted to make that point very clear, because his name and his person has been vilified, and there has been no basis to do that. Obviously, when a precious life is taken, people are searching for explanations. This is not the explanation that this was some kind of threat. That didn't happen. I just wanted to make that clear. I also would like to bring, and I'll pass the mic down to Attorney Eklund Mercy. Oftentimes, what we have seen happen in our communities that our daughters, our young women are forgotten, whether they are missing, whether they have been assaulted, whether they have been killed. Oftentimes, the young ladies' names are so often forgotten. Even in police shooting cases, the young ladies are often forgotten. The Sandra Blands, the Breonna Taylors are often, those names are not lifted up. But there have been an organization that has continued to focus our attention on the importance of not only Black women, but of our daughters and our young ladies, and that's been Sister Care Alliance. And so Eklund is going to briefly share from Sister Care Alliance to lift up Secoriea Turner's name so that her name is not forgotten and that we continue to say her name. So following that, we'll hear from Mom and Dad.
Hello, my name is Attorney Eklund Mercy, and I am here on behalf of Sister Care Alliance. I can't begin to tell you how much I sympathize with the family. To be here is definitely I am a criminal defense attorney, so to be here is definitely outside of what I want to do. We are here as representatives of the family, but at the end of the day, none of them knew that they were going to be here. None of them wanted to be here. Nobody planned on Secoriea not coming back home. Nobody wanted to be on television this way. Not one member of their families wanted to be here. So we are here in support of them. As a member of the Sister Care Alliance, we understand that the Black woman, the Black girl is probably the most disrespected. And little Miss Turner had experienced a lot of deaths. Her physical one, but the second one was the neglect by her community. The fact that we don't know who killed her, the fact that we do know that people have that information and are not providing it, the fact that this family does not have peace. So we are asking you to prevent this third killing, which is to find who did this, to find who the perpetrator is. Now, as a member of Secoriea Alliance, we help young Black girls. We help them get their voices out. We help them get their issues out, and we make it known that we matter. So if you have any information about the murder, if you have any information, please reveal that. But if you are a young girl and you feel that your voice is not being heard, please contact us, SisterCareAlliance.org. We have webinars and things of that nature to help young Black girls really not only find their voice, but really use it to help other Black girls in their position. I'm just here. I want to send all my condolences to you. I can't even imagine. And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we have to be here. I'm so sorry. Because y'all, I understand that none of y'all wanted to be here. And I'm sorry. Y'all had plans. And y'all are here. And I'm sorry on behalf of the attorneys, on behalf of Black people, on behalf of Georgia, I'm sorry. And we're here for you.
Thank you. As a father, I've had an opportunity to speak to Mr. Williamson, Secorea's father, and I wanted him to just share a little bit about Secorea and about what he's experiencing right now, and hoping that something that he says might move someone that's out there who can try to start the process of healing. Mr. Williams.
First off, I want to say that Secoriea wasn't a hard child to raise. She was a good girl. One thing she want to do is go outside and have fun all day. My baby called me at 9:37. She probably killed probably 9:48, 9:50. And it's crazy that they know who killed my baby, and then nobody don't want to come forward. Please don't use the word snitch. Please don't use the word snitch, because my daughter wasn't in the street. My daughter wasn't in the street. So if you know something, say something. If you know anything, say something. You won't be labeled as a snitch. Do what's right. What if it was your child? What if it was your niece? What if it was your granddaughter? What if it was your stepchild? What if it was yours? Nobody want to say nothing. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Somebody saying something. They come forward. My daughter wasn't in the street. She wasn't in the street. So don't use the word snitch. Please don't. Just come forward. You will not be labeled as a snitch. You will be labeled as a hero, because you're doing what's right. I would do the same thing for your child. I swear I will. If I see anybody hurt a child, hurt a soul, I can't. How could you live knowing you took a child? I just hope your conscience turn you in. You ain't even got to turn yourself in. Just hope somebody say something, because Secoria's life matters. And I promise we're gonna put it in your face every chance we get until you turn yourself in.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. We have Secorea's mom, Ms. Turner.
A lady, she had on a black shirt and she was recording. Please come forward. Please help us. My baby was supposed to be here. And she's so loving. All she want to do is be on her phone and all of our brothers and run in and out my door. Please help. Y'all help y'all daughter. I only have one. And I had to watch my baby take her last breath in front of me. Please help me. Please. I said, no, shit. I tried to make her stay with her daddy. She didn't want to stay. Please help. Somebody knows something. You don't have to call the police, the lawyers, nobody. Right me, call me. I just want to know why. What happened? Why?
So the family has raised, and they're pledging out of their own pockets another $5,000. And our law firm is also reached out to some donors who will provide another $5,000 so that we have, in addition to the $20,000 from Crime Stoppers, we have privately raised over $30,000 so that the total reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction is $50,000. And as Brother Bozeman said, if we have to continue to go up, we will. Our resolve to ensure that there is justice for this family is unimaginable. Our resolve and our commitment as a firm, as fathers and mothers, as community members, we are absolutely committed to this family and helping these parents and these uncles and aunties and grandmothers to have the people responsible arrested and convicted. There has been a new person of interest that is now sent out by Crime Stoppers. We would like for people to take a look at this new person of interest. And we want you to send it out through social media. We will send out both this flyer, this Justice for Secoriea flyer with the reward, as well as the person of interest. This individual that's here is a person of interest designated as such by the Atlanta Police Department. And so if they've identified him as a person of interest, we want the community's help in getting his name, telephone number, address, and whereabouts. And again, if you need lawyers to accompany you, call that number. But if you want to just provide the name of this individual, you can call that Crime Stoppers number. At this time, if there are any questions from any of our reporters that are online, we're prepared to receive those questions. Those that we can answer, we will.
Dennis Byrne, Hip Hop Inquirer. I saw another photo that was being circulated. Is that other individual not also a person of interest? The young man who was wearing a white T-shirt?
We have been informed by the detective, the lead detective, is that individual is no longer a person of interest. That individual is no longer a person of interest. The person that's listed here is the new person of interest in this investigation.
Mally, it's Christian Boone of the AJC. What is your what do you plan to do about getting answers as to why these people were allowed to kind of commandeer the street and to put up roadblocks. I mean, this has happened before in the previous weeks. There have been some other altercations. What's your thoughts on how the city handled this, and could it have been prevented in the first place? Should it have been prevented in the first place? Should the city have allowed, these guys to be out there sort of taking over, deciding who gets passed,
Christian, that's a very good question. Obviously, we have very serious concerns as to why and how armed individuals, and we want to make the distinction. We know that there were protesters and organizers and demonstrators out there who planted gardens, who were engaged in political education, who were there trying to create some safe and healing space. I'm very clear because some of those people are people that I've organized with or been affiliated with over the years. But these are armed individuals who made decisions to create a roadblock and then to enforce it with firearms is a major distinction between people who are gathering to bring about change. And we, myself included, I've been very clear that there are a number of roads to change, and myself and others have tried to go down many of them. And so I'm always open to different roads that might bring about change for our community. But there is no pathway, there is no road, there is no highway to justice that involves the killing of an 8-year-old child. Does not exist, just not. And so we are investigating why that was allowed, what private and public entities allowed that to take place. And it is concerning and alarming. And as much as people don't want to talk about race, we are certain that in other parts of this city, that would not have been allowed to be maintained. It just wouldn't have. But in areas that have, at times, people have thrown their hands up and attempted to write off communities and community members, this is what ultimately has transpired. I'll also let Sean, if he wants to share any insights into that issue as well.
Thank you, Molly. I just reiterate what Attorney Davis just said. There's a time and a place that we will address and continue to investigate how the circumstances that led to allow this shooting to occur. But the time right now and the focus should be on finding the shooters. But we will, along with the Davis Bozen law firm and the Cochran firm, use all our resources to get to the how, the when, who was involved as relates to those decisions. But today, we need to focus on the most important thing, which is finding out who shot and killed this beautiful young child.
We're here with V103 WAOK. Earlier, it was mentioned that you all are going to have teams, community teams tomorrow out. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, community teams tomorrow out canvassing different areas, trying to obtain information. Because some of these people were armed, will there be any protection for people showing up to volunteer? How will they monitor that in regards to asking questions, and just in case somebody approaches them and they are armed, will there be protection for those volunteers?
Our call tomorrow is no different than when we had a child that was violated, and as men in the community, we went out. We're not concerned about that. Again, I think Attorney Davis is right. 99% of the people who were out there were there for good reason. They were there for healing, therapy, and everything else. The 1% that has run into the night after this incident, they won't show up tomorrow. And so what we're going to do is take this reward flyer. We are not going to let this baby name fall off the front pages, out of the memories of this community. Every now and then, I've done this for many, many years. whether it was learning from Mike and Arthur Langford during the missing and murdered children's crisis when we didn't know who was killing black children. But every Saturday, thousands showed up to go look for and to ask questions about what happened. We're going to use that same method on tomorrow. And again, we're asking everybody who is of goodwill to meet us at 477 Windsor Street in the parking lot of the Dunbar Center. And we're going to walk door to door, taking the flyer, announcing the new reward door to door. And we are hopeful that this man that we see, a person of interest, that's somebody's son, that's somebody's grandson, that's somebody's high school classmate. And so we simply are trying to intend to take this picture of this baby door to door. And maybe that will make people understand, just like these parents have said, if this was my daughter, granddaughter, I would want just people to make me know with certainty that they're doing everything they can to help. So we're not concerned about going into communities. As I said, I was born in Mechanicsville, and when I was 2, we moved to Lakewood. So this is not, I'm not going into foreign territory. I'm going into places where we know the folks on the street, we know the folks at the church, we know the folks at the corner store. Unlike the people who cause the havoc, we're there for the purposes of making sure that we do everything we can to give this family some peace. So we're absolutely confident and comfortable with having the general public join us on tomorrow.
Attorney Davis.
Yes.
Attorney Davis, this is Haley Mason with CBS 46 News. You mentioned a short while ago that the new image is the new person of interest, and the young man in the white shirt from the original image that police have noted that he no longer is. Can you elaborate on what led them to tell you that? Was he questioned? What made him be removed as a person of interest, and now this new guy in his place?
Thank you, Haley. As far as the information we have received is that that individual has been vetted, questioned, contacted in some form or fashion, the specifics of which were never provided to us. Again, we are not the police. We have been intentional about clarifying our role, and all we know is that he is no longer a person of interest, and that the individual depicted in the red with the firearm is the new person of interest, with other persons of interest possibly coming and being released in the near future. So that's all the information that we have about it. We just need everyone's assistance in getting this photograph out, getting it circulated, and getting this individual in with law enforcement to again to have some information and find out whether or not what exactly his involvement was or was not in the death of Secoriea Turner.
And if I could ask a quick follow-up, are you all confident that this man and whomever else may be involved is actually still in the metro Atlanta area?
Haley, we have no idea whether they are still in the metro area. All we can do is encourage those that were there that night, as well as anyone who might know these individuals, gone to high school with them, seen them before, to just come forward. We believe something as heinous as this, where an 8-year-old's life is taken, that no one, if an 8-year-old isn't safe in the city of Atlanta, then none of us are. None of us. And so with that, that has to be what fuels all of us. We all should be in an outrage, in an absolute outrage. We should be angry. It should be difficult for us to sleep until these parents have the person and persons that are responsible, that they know that they're in custody. They're going tomorrow to have to do a public viewing at Murray Brothers Funeral Home, by the way, a public viewing and then a funeral. And the people who are responsible haven't been taken into custody yet. I mean, can we do what we can as a community so that they can grieve? that's what I think the challenge is that they need to be able to focus on burying their child and grieving without worrying about the people responsible for doing this. And that's the call, and we're very grateful to the men and women from the community who have come forward and said, I'll take this up. I won't run from this. I won't hide from this. You have any other questions?
Yeah, this is Amanda Cooper again with V103WAOK. Can you tell us the names of the lawyers again? The audio went out when the second lawyer was speaking, so I didn't clearly get his name. That's going to be offering his services for the 1-800 number?
Yes.
Yeah, so my name is Kalpin Shah, and it's KALPIN SHAH. Did you say you needed us to repeat that phone number again, or you got it?
Oh, just your names.
Okay, yeah, and I'll pass it on to the next attorney.
My name is Robert Kenner Jr. Last name is spelled Kenner.
And there will be, again, a group of volunteer law students who will man the phones. This is an all hands on deck. Law students, lawyers, community members that are ready to be of service to this family.
Let me just re-emphasize again that whenever anyone calls in that manner and speaks with those law students or speaks with one of us as the attorneys, it is 100% confidential. You know, until we're basically representing you, the caller. Whoever has that information and is calling us, we're your attorney. And again, it's pro bono. So we're not charging anything for that. You're just coming forward, speaking the truth, and we are representing you. And, you know, we're just providing that pro bono service because we believe in, you know, in the Black Lives Matter movement, in a way that, you know, our interest has to be in representing whoever that comes forward and speaks the truth.
Before we close, I just want to invite people not only to provide information that can lead to the conviction of these individuals, but we invite you to do anything to support this family, whether it be to join on tomorrow and go out and search for information, but if financially as relates to adding to the award, all of those things are important and can help. So if you're out there anywhere, even if you don't have information, figure out a way to provide and help this family with justice. The other piece is we are looking for people to pray for this family as they go through some very, very rough days. And we are a community. This is the city, the foundation of civil rights. This is the foundation of where people have lost their lives. So young children like Secoriea can have an opportunity to be whatever they want to be. And this is a tragedy that has happened. We can all come together and do something. First with information, second with prayers, and whatever support you find in your heart to provide so that we can catch these individuals, please do that and contact that same number.
Thank you all. We look forward to being with this family tomorrow and Wednesday. The funeral services on Wednesday, because of COVID, are private and invitation only, and will be broadcast, however. But we just want to give this family the support that they need. And again, we thank the Cochran firm. We're looking forward to our work with Sean Williams, Sam Starks, and all of the attorneys at the Cochran firm. And on behalf of my law partners, Harold Spence and Robert Bozeman, we are deeply, deeply honored to represent this family with such a beautiful young lady. and just to make sure that we do our part to lift her up, to remember her, and to make sure that her name will not be forgotten. And the importance that she held in you all's lives, people will have a chance to see how that's reflected. So thank you all, family, for being here. Thank you all for joining us for this press conference. Thank you very much.